We learn from elders. We learn from survival. We learned from each other. 4TransGuys. Wisdom you can feel. Real talk. Collective care.
All right, welcome to the show. I'm JJ.
I'm Zander.
I'm AJ.
I'm fAe.
Awesome. Well, welcome, fAe. It's glad to have you here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. So why don't you start off by introducing yourself? Who are you and what brings you to the table today?
Well, I'm just your run-of-the-mill trans guy living in rural Western Pennsylvania, advocating for trans rights, being an activist for our rights, that kind of a thing. I'm an acupuncturist, and my main focus is keeping my lovely community healthy so we can fight fascism. And so I have a regular practice, and then I have two donation-based queer clinics, which I'm very proud of, and they are popping, and I just love spending time with my community, helping people feel better. And acupuncture can be cost prohibitive, and as you know, our community is notorious for having zero money. So we're helping everybody else, which I love. Trans people and queer people are in service, and we are helping, and I love that. And so I want to help the helpers. How Mr. Rogers said, find the helpers. I'm going to help the helpers. So that's what I'm doing as my support for the community. My protest is keeping us going, and it's been great, and I'm just thrilled the word's getting out. I've been doing it since in Pittsburgh. I do it twice a month, and since December of 2024 or 2023, I don't know. And then here at my practice in Butler, Pennsylvania, it's queer centric, but I have a lot of allies and stuff too, which is fine for the other one as well. Hey, listen, we got friends and family that want to come and get some acupuncture too, keep them healthy, and they're fighting fascism. Yes.
I love this, fAe, and what a gem to be able to provide such a service to people. And I don't know if we're both on audio and on video, so I don't know if there's any intersections about your life and who you are that you want to verbalize for those who may be just listening, or that you want to share a little bit more about who you are.
Well, I'm also, one of the big things I'm super excited about is I am developing a queer conservation education campground called Camp SassySquatch, and that's my big focus aside from the acupuncture and the activism. So I'm just trying to spend every spare moment, which sometimes are few, and also sometimes I'm tired. So maybe I don't want to be like scooping dirt and like things like that. So I'm trying to get this campground. It's a baby right now. We have a lot of infrastructure to build, and so I'm just trying to rally friends to come up and help me out. And like, I planted trees on July 4th, which I call Anti-Fascist Day. And, I was just doing Camp SassySquatch stuff. And, cutting trails. I want there to be like a beautiful place for people to come in the country and feel safe and cared for, and be as queer or as nude as they want to be. And that's not to say that this is only for adults. I was inspired by many, many different reasons. I mean, I've been wanting to have like a queer commune for like 20, 30 years. But, time, money, all that stuff. So Camp SassySquatch is a nonprofit, and I have set up a PayPal giving fund page for it, and we've had some lovely donations from old friends and new friends, and every penny goes toward building stuff on there. There's no worker employees. It's just all to Camp SassySquatch. So if somebody were in the future wanted to have some sort of a program, etc., that was a weekend or a week, then they would make a little chunk, and then Camp Sassy would make a little chunk, and then it would just go back into keeping it fabulous. And I mean, gosh, oh, I have visions of grandeur, queer elder care, animal rescue. I mean, I already kind of have one of those, but you know what I mean? Like, we have people that are actually in charge of the animals all the time. Programs directors, all this fun stuff. So anybody out there, you want to come live in the middle of nowhere and frolic in the fields and help me build a campground, call me. But ultimately, I really am so passionate about creating a space of safety and love and community. That's like my big thing, is I love community. And when I wrote my essay for Letters for My Brothers, which I have right here, we are having our 15-year reunion. I'm sure Zander will talk about that. But I wrote that and I reread it. Every stinking word still rings so true to me. And I hope to anybody else that read it that it helped out, because community support like that helped get me through. And it helps me to this day. If I'm having a low day, I need to talk to a friend. I need to talk to somebody, bolster me up. We're each other's cheerleaders, and our community goes through different types of trauma and different types of experiences than our heterosexual compatriots. um, it's just different. So we're going to have really specific things that we need support for that we might not find with our straight friends or family. They just don't quite have the context for that, right? But a lot of us do. So I want to kind of offer that. And I have friends that are interracial couples that have interracial children biracial children that, they wanted to have a family campground experience where there were other families like themselves. And so I was like, well, we can do that. We can have weeks where we have family weeks, and we can have weeks where we have trans guy weeks and trans women weeks and trans everybody weeks, and people of color weeks, and this weeks and that weeks. So the sky's the limit. And then I would love to eventually have not just seasonal people, but then people that live there year round. I mean, I want to just build it all up, but baby steps. We're just starting. And also there's a lovely queer campground that just started 30 minutes down the road from me, so like there's room. We have to get rid of scarcity and competitiveness and just be like, yes, more queer campgrounds, please. Let's do this. So I'm thrilled that folks are, a lot of people that had some sort of a tie to the area that had left because it's the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, have come back because it's the middle of nowhere. And you're quiet once you get to a certain place in your life. I am that guy now. Like, get off my lawn, like, get your ATVs out of here. Oh, but I just love sitting, watching the birds, listening to the birds, gardening. I've been doing a lot of evening gardening, 9 p.m. to midnight, because there's no sun out there. I am susceptible to sunburn, even with my sun hat on and everything like that. And the other something's going on today. The wildfires from Canada, from Ontario, have wafted down, and literally when you walk outside, it is full smoke. Like, it looks like someone's house is on fire. So I know that California people over there had to deal with that. Yeah,
it's terrible.
Okay, so I went on a tangent.
We love tangents.
Specific questions, I will answer them.
Yeah. I don't know, AJ, did you have any questions?
I had one about your campground. Do you have like family weeks that you've scheduled yet? Are you still building it up, or can people come?
I was hoping to have a little bit more in terms of facilities this summer, but it's just really slow going. So it's very primitive right now, and we haven't set up any programming for the rest of the summer, but I am hoping to get programming in for next summer. But it's still pretty primitive. I mean, eventually I'd like to have a welcome center, a physical building for people to come into in case there's inclement weather. Definitely building the outhouse and bathrooms this year, and because you got to have the toilet. I have friends who are differently abled who have asked about accessibility, and so we're going to definitely have ADA accessibilities for as much as possible. But yeah, in the fall and winter time, I'd like to plan some basic things for next summer. Eventually, I'd love to have a packed summer calendar, but next year, I think it's just going to be a few things just to kind of get it going. I am a great cheerleader and energy booster, but when it comes to organizing, I need help. So if anybody's good at that, come talk to me.
Well, it sounds like building that community is important for survival at this time, kind of what you're working with and dealing with. What are some ways that you're finding ways to survive in this time, in this season? You've come so far having, done your acupuncture work and then built this entire community that you've been thinking about for like 20 years. How is survival now? Is it this community? Is it something else? What does that look like for you to practice your own healing?
Great question. So I'm an acupuncturist. I do acupuncture on myself almost every day. Recently I was going through existential crises every 2 minutes, and being like, what am I even doing here? What's going on? But then I received some really good multi-hands craniosacral work, and that I think helped shifted things a lot. And that may not be for everybody, and it's totally okay. I have a healthy relationship with science and a healthy relationship with woo-woo, and I love the convergence, and I love integrative health. So I have an amazing family. I talk about them all the time because however I ended up in this body in this life, I got the family that I needed because they are, it's gonna make me cry. They're wonderful. They love me unconditionally, and I love them unconditionally. And that's not to say we haven't had some hard conversations about sexuality and gender and stuff like that, but they're always willing to learn about it. In fact, we had an excellent conversation last year around Anti-Fascist Day, July 4th. I had some queer people come to the farm. It was like 10 or 12 people. And prior to that, I had been speaking with my mom and dad about why it was important for me to have a queer space. And mom says, why can't everybody be invited? And I said, everyone is invited all the time in other spaces in terms of heterosexual spaces. I said, here are a few articles about why it's important to have queer spaces. Now, she's a former librarian and researcher, so she loves an article. So I sent her some articles. And I said, just read these over and we'll have a conversation about it. And we did. So at that July 4th party, everybody was so relaxed, so themselves, just being as gay as they want to be. And there were a few straight people there too, whatever. But we were all people who have been friends for a very long time. So we got to just be ourselves, which was a different atmosphere than prior family parties where everybody from all around came, So if you have 100 people you don't know and you don't know 90 of them, it's a different feeling, right? So having 10, 12 people that are really close and many queer different variations of queerness and gender variations, gender expressions. My parents got to really see us feel comfortable. And we had a conversation about it. My mom says, your dad and I were talking about what you had said about having queer spaces, and we got to see it today and talk about it, and we understand now. And I was like, God damn it, I love you guys. You're amazing. Because how many parents in their 70s are talking about that? You tell me. Probably not many. There are some good ones out there, but so I thank my lucky stars every day. And then my brother and his wife are just as amazing. And we're talking about it, these types of things, gender, sexuality, the political climate, absolutely everything on a daily basis. So that's really important to me. And I feel supported, seen, heard, and I believe they do too from me. So I think we have a really nice thing, and communication is so huge with any relationship, and I'm always trying to work on mine.
You know, Faye, you've walked us through so many just beautiful aspects of your life. And so I just want to say thank you for the service that you provide and have been providing since I've known you, and probably way before that, right? I haven't known you your whole life. But when I met you, you had been providing a type of service because you made a documentary about your transition,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Gender redesigner, it's right there under your name.
Right.
And that was right, that was you know, it was in the one of the firsts, right? There weren't very many documentaries. There was You Don't Know Dick and the one about Max Valerio, the Max documentary, but there weren't a lot. And you mentioned Letters from My Brothers earlier, and you know, when Megan and I started on that process, probably around late 2008, early 2009, and the book was published in 2010. I mean, if they're old enough, they know those are the baby days of the internet, right? There was no Facebook. There was, right, we didn't have social media. It was very, very in its infancy. And being able to find community and find support and find networks and find healthcare, we had to rely on, you know, most of us living in big cities or driving hours sometimes to these big cities to join up with these groups. I was lucky that I was in San Francisco, and so I could just go, you know, to the FTM support group that Lou Sullivan started. And then Jameson Green ran for a while, and then I ran it for a few years, right? And so but the world is so different now. So I just want to at least honor, you know, your commitment and your service back before it was, well, as easy as it is now, really, to get the message out and share our stories.
Thank you. I think a lot about that too, because that was 2007 when we completed it. We started filming it in 2002. So, you know, it was the baby days of the internet. And I did my research to find my doctors and find my therapists and all that stuff. And I think about it and I'm like, oh my God, you know, I was really doing a lot of stuff on the internet back then. But to me, I had to, you know, and luckily my mom was a librarian, shout out mom, so I knew how to use the internet, you know. So that was huge. And it gives me retroactive compassion for all the trans and queer people who didn't have access to the internet and they just felt like so alone, because I felt alone and I was talking to people on the internet. So I mean, but I was looking for community, you know what I mean? Like I was on the hunt. And
Yeah.
so I just tried to talk to people on the internet and find doctors and find different things. And yeah, can you believe that we finished that in 2007? It was one of the first ones. I'm trying to on top of the 80,000 other things I'm doing. I would love to do like a 20-year reunion gender redesigner thing. But we'll see. Maybe you guys can help me send it out to some outlets or whatever. But it's interesting how much has changed, but how much has stayed the same.
Yeah,
It's really
absolutely.
and
Absolutely. Right. And a lot of what was available back then, you know, it was a book with one author, one story, a documentary, one person, one story. And so Letters from My Brothers was an anthology. We wanted to incorporate a bunch of different stories to show that there's no one right way to transition or one right path to, you know, living your life. In the old, we had used FTM, right? That was, you know, back in the day. I still use that, it's shorthand, but and you know, you've described a lot of the things that you've been doing over the years. And one of the things I'd love for you to go a little bit into more detail on, if you'd like to share with us, is what are some of the creative pursuits that you're involved with, right? So, you know, in some ways it sounds like your acupuncture is occupation, it's vocation and a vocation, right? Because it's a passion project and it's how you make a living. And Camp SassySquatch seems to fit kind of both of those categories as well. But are there other creative pursuits that you are engaging in your life that you'd like to talk about?
That's a great question. I mean, over the years, I've been a performer and an MC. So when I lived in New York City, I was a drag king. I was Sir Lix-a-Lot. I'm on MTV. There's an MTV Sex 2K. It's called 2000. It's on YouTube if you want to find it. Type in Sex 2K. And that was 19-year-old pre-transition fAe just saying the craziest shit. So it's a little embarrassing, but I was like, just pat my little head and be like, oh, you. But it's interesting because, drag kinging is still not as well known as drag queen, but I was working with Murray Hill in New York City, and when they needed a king, they'd call me up. If if, if the party was flagging, they'd be like, hey, can you come do a show? So my friend Adia and I did all kinds of shows. So I did that in New York City. And then I would MC shows too. And then I moved back to Pittsburgh, and I was in a drag king troupe called the Distinguished Iron City Kings. Dick. We did different things. There used to be an International Drag King Extravaganza. I'm not sure if they have that anymore or not. I've fallen a little bit out of the loop. So my creative pursuits now, so I stopped performing because I started, my perfectionism took over, and I would go over at every detail of the show after the show was done. I'd give myself migraines, and I was like, honey, we got into this to have fun. Like, I don't need migraines. So I took a little break. But now, so cooking is a creative outlet for me. Building things. I just built a cage container unit thing for my guinea fowl. Do you guys know what guinea fowl are? They eat ticks, and they're from the west coast of the continent of Africa, many different countries along the edge there. They're jungle birds, but they're the size of a chicken, and they have a really wild sound. And they do that all day, and they're great guard birds. They'll be like, someone's here, and then they're like on top of different roofs, and they're looking out for each other. Now, sometimes they do get eaten. Living on the farm is an emotional roller coaster, all right? So there's a lot of death. A lot of life, but some death too. And you just kind of have to recover. You got to compartmentalize. But I do have days where I'm like, oh God, I can't do this. Everything's getting eaten. And then you got to recover. But so I made a cage the other day, and that was a really lovely creative thing. I tried to my Instagram was Let's Get Handy for a while. That was the name of it. And I thought, I'll videotape myself fixing things and da-da-da. And oh my God, editing. JJ probably know. Well, Zander, all of you probably know about editing. And I was like, I don't think I'm cut out for the editing part. I'm the talent, okay? I don't have to do all this stuff. I can do it. I don't want to do it.
Right.
So after it took me a full 2 days to edit the one video, I was like, the video looks great. I'm tired. I'm wiped out. But and then of course my friends were like, when's your next Let's Get Handy video? And I was like, 3 months from now. Anyway, so I would do that. So yeah, creative wise, I do write, and I do make videos, and I do things for myself basically, but it would probably be more house renovation direction right now, rather than, well, I do take photographs. I'm sorry. So when I went to school, my undergrad was at NYU, and it was for art and art education. So I was technically a certified K through 12 art teacher when I graduated. But my focus was photography and printmaking, and I do that a lot. So I'm not making money on photography or whatever. What I've been doing lately is printing out my photos and giving them to friends. So when I travel around, I just got back from a whirlwind New England tour, I give people my photos, my friends my photos. So
it's amazing.
And who knows, one day maybe I'll do some sort of a gallery thing or whatever. But again, I'm doing 80,000 things right now. But I do. So Zander, to answer your question, yes, I have creative outlets. They make me feel good. They nourish my soul. And I don't make any money on them.
Well, and you mentioned one to me before the show, a collective something. Is there something else that you're working on in a collective?
it said on your questions, what are things that are exciting to you right now?
Yeah.
And so I volunteered in Arizona at the Navajo, or also known as the Dene Nation, at the Navajo Reservation. They have an Elders Wellness Week 2 times a year. And I have a couple of friends who are herbalists here in Pennsylvania who started doing that, working with Mary Catherine, who lives there, who's Navajo, in 2011. So they've been doing it for all those years. And so I went out to volunteer to help out with the elders' health, and anybody can volunteer. So if you're interested, if that sounds like something you want to do and be a part of, stonecabincollective.org is that. Yeah, sweet. And so that has been what's been exciting for me. I mean, what a fabulous bunch of like queer punks who are helping people out, and it's really amazing. Like, it was life affirming. I had such an amazing time. Everybody working together like little worker bees, everybody had their little jobs to do, and it all came together as this beautiful caring week. We cared for each other and we cared for the elders, and it was just to hear their stories and to get to absorb it was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Can't wait to do it again. I'm going back in September.
Yay!
And then, of course, I used my handy skills and so they needed me to fix stuff at the farm. So,
fabulous.
Handy.
fAe, it has been such a pleasure getting to know you and spending time with you today on the podcast. And one of the things that we love to give our guests is the last word. So would you like to share your last thoughts, and we will end the show there?
Well, I don't know how anybody else feels about this, but I love the word gaybo. So I'm and queerbo. And I know people say queerdo, like weirdo, but I just like bo with the end. So that's my thoughts on that. But I just want to say, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, my email and stuff is on, I think, the notes of the show, etc. Look me up on Instagram, gender redesigner, Camp SassySquatch. If anything I said on here, made you want to reach out to me, please do. I love meeting new people, talking to new people, discussing ideas. Oh, come to my birthday bonfire dance party on August 15th at Camp SassySquatch. If you feel like dancing, come dance. If you live very far away, that's okay. I'm going to try to make it an annual thing. So every year we'll have a dance party at the end of the summer. But thank you so much for having me. My community means so much to me, and I'm really glad that you guys are doing this, and I can't wait to watch this and others.